Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos Parshas Boy. The question that I would like everyone to ask at their Shabbos tables this Shabbos is the following. Hashem Moshe Rabbeinu is calling the Ziknei Yisrael together in order to give them the command for the Korban Pesach, to bring the Korban Pesach. And we know the Korban Pesach in Mitzrayim was unique, was different than the Korban Pesach that we had with Doris. And the pasuk says, go each family, take your Korban Pesach, take the blood, put it on the doorposts. The end of Perek Yud Beis, pasuk Chav Beis, Moshe Rabbeinu instructs Klal Yisrael that no one should leave their house on that night. Hashem is going to go out and hit Mitzrayim with a plague. People are going to die. You stay in your house and you will be protected. Question. What Hashem can't protect the Jewish people if they leave their house? What's the need to stay in your house? And if you go outside, Hashem can't tell the difference between a Yid and between a Nachri. Of course Hashem can tell the difference. So why did Hashem say stay in your house? That's one question. A second question you should ask at the Shabbos table, the Meshech Chachma asks, is that we find a lot of gedarim, a lot of stringencies when it comes to the whole Pesach, as we know, as we live through every year. When it comes to, even on a biblical level, on a deraisa level, we see, okay, you can't eat chametz, beseder. I can't own chametz. I can't see it on my property. I have to cover it up. That's midrabanan. But the isser bal yirah bal yimatzeh, I can't even own it. Even if I hide it, bal yatmin, I can't intentionally hide it in my house. We see all these gedarim when it comes to chametz, when it comes to matzah as well. Why is there need for all these fences? And just say, don't eat chametz. Tarsh says, don't eat chazer. Fine, don't eat chazer. We don't eat chazer. When he says, don't eat chametz, all of a sudden there's a bal yirah bal yimatzeh. There are added fences to make sure we don't come and violate the issur. Why should that be? So the Meshech Chachma addresses this question. And he says as follows. He says that if you think about it, a person who thinks about it will see in Mitzrayim, the Yidden basically forgot the essential mitzvahs in the Torah. It says that Kadosh Baruch Hu took a goy mikarev goy, Hashem took a goy, a nation out of a nation. Halalu oivdei avodah zarah, halalu oivdei avodah zarah. Chazal tell us the Yidden were doing avodah zarah. The Yalkut says, V'chein hifru bris milah, they weren't keeping bris milah. So you have ikrei hadas, you have basic mitzvahs the Jewish people were not keeping in Mitzrayim. But when it came to the siyagim, when it came to the fences that are put up to protect our national identity, they excelled in that. Omnam says the Meshech Chachma, ha-siyagim, ha-gedarim, shomer bi-yisrain gadol. The siyagim, the fences, to keep us Yidden and the Goyim separate, they kept unbelievably. Like the Mechilta says, we discussed last week, Shleishinu as Shmam, and these are reasons they were Zoichet to leave Mitzrayim. They didn't change their names. Shleishinu L'shoinam, they didn't change their language, they spoke Lashon HaKodesh. Shlegilu Misutarin, they didn't share their secrets. There were certain secrets the family had, the Jewish people had, they didn't share that with the Mitzrayim. They didn't change their clothing. They were mitziyanim sham, as we say in the Haggadah. They looked different. They spoke differently. They had different names. Lo came begalus Bavel. This is in contrast, as the Meshech Chachma, to the Galus, the diaspora in Bavel, where they kept the Gufei Torah, but they didn't keep the siyagim. They didn't keep those things. They're not really halachas. It's just those things that keep us, that give us the flavor of Yidden, of Jews. They spoke Ashdoidis, the language of the land. They changed their names. The Hischatnim Goy Harotzas, they actually married, had relationships with non-Jews. And that was the difference between Galus, between the Yidden and Mitzrayim and the Yidden and Bavel. The Meshech Chachma goes on to say that Avram Avinu was known for his siyagim. Avram Avinu was Goyzer, himself was like Yichud, the Isra of Yichud, there was a siyag he added on. The pasuk says when it's referring to Gedarim, to Siyagim, Yishmartim es Vishmartim. The whole source, the Chazal could make halachas, they can extend dinim daraisa and put up fences that we shouldn't be nichshel and daraisas, mishmartim es mishmarti. Also mishmeres the mishmarti. The Torah instructs Chazal to make a mishmeres, put up a fence from my mitzvahs. And by Avram it says, Shama Avram b'koylev yishmor mishmarti. Hashem was praising Avram Avinu. Why did I choose Avraham? Because he was shomer mishmarti. Avram Avinu excelled in the siyagim. He kept kol Torah kula, but he specifically excelled in the siyagim. Hainu shmira u'siyagim v'gedarim. In contrast to Eov, interesting shtickle that we're not going to get into now, but Eov kept the gufei Torah, but not the siyagim. So Zok the Meshech Chachma, therefore, here behad Torah b'siyagim gabe Pesach, v'chametz b'al yirah. Therefore, the Torah heaps on gedarim, fences, when it comes to chametz, when it comes to matzah. And it's through that we went into the geula. We were nigolu because of that. Here's the answer to our question. Hashem said, Moshe Rabbeinu said, don't leave your house the entire night of the Korban Pesach. Every person should be connected to his national identity through Siyagim and Gdarim. Don't leave your house. Don't mingle with the Mitzrayim. Don't mingle with the non-Jews. Stay in your house. If you want to be redeemed, the redemption will come when the Jewish people act like Yidden. When they act differently, when they look differently, when they speak differently, when they dress differently than the non-Jews, that's when the Yidden are negal. Shekozman shlo yiu ora loiki mafia alav glui la'inei kol hasakana gedoyla shlo yis'ara bein umayis v'yavdu b'kiyumam. The biggest sakana, the biggest danger in Gullus is when the Jew mixes in too much with the Nachri, with the world around him, and he's no longer recognizable as a Jew. So even though the Yidden were doing Avodah Zarah, and they're made for bris milah, which are things that we all hold is so precious, and it is taka precious, and we have to keep these mitzvahs. But what kept the Yidden Mitzrayim was dafka the siyagim. It was the minhagim, it was the flavor, it was the culture, the Jewish culture that they created. That's what kept them different. And that is the schus. It was through that schus that they were zoichet to be nigel. This is all the more so appropriate in our times where there are so many influences. And unfortunately, telling the Jew today, don't leave your house, is not really an effective way to tell him to keep out the secular culture, because unfortunately, there are very easy ways to bring the secular culture into the house. But the idea, the concept, we have to internalize. And that's why Hashem said, don't leave your house on that night. That's why there are so many siyagim and gedarim to the mitzvahs of matzah and the isser of chametz, was because that was the schus for Gula. If we all want to be redeemed, we all want to have our kibbutz galias, we want to go back to Eretz Yisrael, to the Makom of Shechina. There's one way to do that. We have to make sure that we are keeping our siyagim, the gedarim. We must keep the gufei Torah as well. We must keep all the mitzvahs. We have to make sure shleishinu shmam, lishinu lishoinam. We have to make sure that the identity, the national identity that a Yid has, which is based on his connection to Hashem, not just we're like a team, that we wear our jersey, and therefore that's what makes us different. It's that we are on a different level, we act differently, we think differently, we're connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Through that, we should all be zoiche to the Geula Shlema in Herav Yameinu. Wishing everyone a wonderful Shabbos.